What are you taking?
A guitar.
Yeah, of course it's a guitar, because who's going to carry a piano while swimming in the ocean? That's crazy.
Yes.
So you're a guitar player at heart, I hear.
Yes.
Okay. Acoustic, and then electric, or acoustic steel, acoustic classical, nylon?
We are live, by the way.
Oh, we're live. Oh, welcome,
everyone.
Welcome.
And nobody's here probably, so go ahead.
Is this the YouTube link you just sent, the right one?
I think so. Check it for me, please.
I will do that, and then I'm going to retweet it out and get the Babylon team. Oh my goodness, we're live. Okay, yes, sweet. Let me send this out real quick. How do I? We're live here. Okay.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
Oh, temple run is out.
There we
Okay.
go.
Hi.
Now we're getting somewhere. Hello.
Hello,
Okay,
everyone.
so we were just coming in and talking about which musical instrument are you taking on a deserted island with you. And Ron and I both picked guitar. So Icicle, what about you? What do you pick?
Oh, I don't play any instrument. You just assumed that I could. I'm totally not talented. Yeah, if I'm just gonna do anything, it will be drums probably, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think it might be easier.
It also
How
has
about
the
you?
greatest likelihood of helping you get off the island of somebody audibly hearing the result.
Yeah.
It's quite good. Okay,
I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
know that was a goal. To get
How
off
about
the
you?
Yeah. Me, it's guitar. Yeah, I'm a guitarist as well.
Oh.
Probably a steel acoustic is my instrument of choice.
Yeah. Mine as well.
You? You're steel string?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not the old
Yeah.
nylon. Not going classical mariachi style.
No. I also don't hold the guitar like the classic. No, I hold it like people should.
The neck has to be above a 45-degree angle to properly play it correctly. Yeah, it's quite good.
So, can you guys tell us why you are the people who are talking about instruments right now, and
Yeah.
how
There's
is that
no reason
related to?
people should be watching us. We're just a couple people who like deserted islands. No, okay. So, hello everybody. My name is Jason. I work on the BabylonJS team, and I'm joined by somebody.
I'm just a nobody. Hi, Ranan. Hi, everyone. My name is Ranan. I am one of the software developers working on BabylonJS, and with emphasis on WebXR. So that's what I mainly do.
Kind of an important software engineer on the BabylonJS team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also,
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Humility.
in this YouTube channel too, somebody asked if why Renan is the guy who's doing everything.
So it just seems like it. I do some of the things.
Yes.
It's
wonderful
when you're
team.
fast and efficient. It's true. We do have a wonderful team that we work with. That is absolutely very, very true.
awesome.
Do you think it's safe to assume what people that people know what BabylonJS is, or should I give a little quick overview?
Yes. Let's give a quick overview.
Okay, I'll give you the elevator pitch, but basically BabylonJS is an open sourced web-based 3D rendering engine. It can be used. You can think of it as a fully featured game engine. It's all inside of the web. It's a JavaScript library that is completely free and open source, and it basically powers a ton of incredibly interactive and immersive experiences on the web. And our mission statement is to create one of the most powerful, beautiful, and simple opening web rendering platforms in the world. And really what we strive to do is to try and do just that, to create a ton of power, make it really, really simple to use, and be able to render really, really beautiful scenes. So there you go. That's the 30-second pitch.
Yeah. And how long have you been working on the project, and how long is the project itself?
That's a fantastic question. Yeah, so the project started in July of 2013, so it's over 7 years old now.
Oh, wow.
Started by a very gifted developer who loves 3D engine and the web, 3D engines and the web, and combine them together. His name is David Katui, and I joined myself officially, let's see, February of 2019, I guess it was. Is that right? Yeah. And Ronan, you've been here longer than I have.
Well, my first commit to the repository was October 2014.
Okay, so you're
That
far
was
more
my
important.
first.
Yeah.
And
for
what was
sure.
your commit?
It was a fix for It was a commit fix for the way the ray direction was calculated. There was an issue with the ray, and I was working on a project back then, 3D. We built a 3D viewer, and we were using 3JS, and 3JS was not what we were looking for. And we moved to BabylonJS, and there was an issue with the ray direction calculation, and I just submitted, and David said, "Yeah, that's great," and he just merged it. It was amazing.
So he merged it. So you didn't push something directly to master and then break the entire build. You've never done that.
Oh, I will, yeah, of course.
I mean, I'm not pointing any fingers. That might have possibly happened yesterday by somebody who shall remain nameless.
Oh my God. That is amazing. Yeah, you scared everybody now. They're gonna say like, should we really use Babylon?
I know,
if
it's
he's
true.
doing that.
No, it's an incredibly rare boneheaded mistake on my part. It happens incredibly rarely. Actually, I will take that moment to kind of emphasize, Babylon.js, there's actually kind of two different versions. And this is very, very common in software development, but you have what you might consider to be a stable version or a release version that essentially is locked and doesn't change. And then there's kind of upcoming versions or preview versions, and those are like the next evolution and bug fixes and things beyond that. So what's really, really interesting is Babylon is the same. We have a stable release and a preview release. And yet, because Babylon, the team, has such a sharp emphasis on killing bugs very, very quickly, in less than 24 hours, there's a high quality to even the preview releases. So even something that in a typical software development world you might not consider to be stable, in the Babylon world, the preview release is actually really, really stable. And that's just all thanks to an amazing development team and an amazing culture, like people like Ronan, who really prioritize making sure that everything is as good as it can possibly be. So shout out to the amazing team behind it that makes that happen.
That is really cool. So how do you do that? Like 24 hours is a very short time.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you, Isago. I think it really comes down to the fact that if you are really passionate about creating quality software, you'll be surprised at how quickly you can push through process, right? Sometimes we put process in place that we think is going to be beneficial as, maybe an organization or something like that. But really, when it comes down to there's a developer, a software developer, or a company or somebody who needs a fix for something, you can cut through a ton of red tape really quickly just by saying, here's the fix, go. And that is definitely an amazing thing that is built into the culture of the team, for sure, is to just move fast and not worry about asking 50 different people to review it. It's here's a fix, let's go. Here it is. We can fix it again. Here we go. Let's go, fix. So it's definitely in our blood.
And Babylon is part of Microsoft now. So you are still doing your own deployments and you're not limited to any of the rules. I'm just curious. I never worked on a product team at Microsoft.
That's actually a really a common question that we get quite a bit, because basically because Babylon is open source, there's an amazing community behind it. There's actually 300 people that have contributed to and continue to contribute to BabylonJS. That said, there are a core group of developers that Microsoft hires to work on it full time. However, there's a very key distinction, which is that Microsoft does not own in any way, shape, or form Babylon. In fact, Babylon does not even fall under the Microsoft umbrella. Microsoft has a bunch of technology that they open source, and it doesn't fall under that at all. It is completely separate from Microsoft.
Are you stealing offices from us or something?
No,
I'm working
it's a
from
great
home.
question.
I don't know.
Yeah, none of us are stealing offices. No, the reason is that Microsoft hires people full time to develop on it because it is an incredibly valuable piece of technology for many, many different products within that Microsoft has. And of course, it's not just Microsoft, but the reason Microsoft itself contributes to it is because there are about 40 plus products now that leverage BabylonJS in some way, shape, or form for accelerated web rendering. A lot of times aligning with the web versions, the web apps of a specific application. For example, PowerPoint Online uses BabylonJS to help render slideshows really fast, very quickly, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of it's a little bit organizationally funny. And yet at the same time, it works really, really well for us. So BabylonJS is owned by the world, owned by the community, but Microsoft just cares enough about the project to basically fund a group of people full-time on its development.
I think that's great. I come from the framework world, all of the worries of people, is Angular going to die because of Google, is React, what's going to happen with React. So it's really, really important that this library is independent, and if anything happens, if Microsoft decides not to support it, we can still have this. We can still
absolutely.
work on it.
That's exactly right. And that is, one of the many, many beautiful parts of the open source software world, right, is that it can exist past an organization and beyond an organization. Not to be too philosophical about it, but it quite literally belongs to the people.
Yes. And you have a very neat community. It's quite amazing. Has it grown in the recent years, or grow slowly over time?
Growth is ongoing, and I think we, again, owe this to the fact that there's more and more people discovering it, but really it's because it's a quality product. It's a really amazing platform that's incredibly stable and powerful. And, I would say that growth, like most things, you wonder what the right slope is. And of course, when Babylon started, it was, gained a little traction. But over the last 18 months to 2 years, definitely has been more of the hockey stick rocket ship that, I think people tend to hope for. More and more people are coming to Babylon and discovering Babylon for a number of different reasons. One of those reasons is backwards compatibility. So some of the other applications that are in a similar space about enabling 3D rendering on the web don't quite have the same regiment around making sure that they preserve backwards compatibility, and that is a core tenet of Babylon, to make sure that if you create an experience today, it's going to work 5 years from now, no matter what changes that we may add to the platform. So that's a component of it, and then the other component is, as you mentioned, actually the community itself. And so while there are a lot of amazing communities surrounding a lot of amazing pieces of open source technology, the thing about Babylon is the Babylon forum, which is the place where you can find the community chatter, is such an incredibly supportive place. That's the word I would use. You can come there, and believe me, I'm speaking for myself, you can come there with the dumbest questions in the world, and that is me. The dumbest questions in the world, and no one will treat you like that. It is a welcoming place where any question is welcome, where it really just everyone wants to help everybody else learn the platform to make the whole ecosystem of 3D and the web more prominent. One other quick note on that subject: there's an interesting thing that we've been seeing worldwide around 3D objects, and it actually has to do with COVID. And the global pandemic hits, and you have tons of industry across different industries that are reliant upon in-person communication in some way, whether that's come meet us over at our factory to check out the widget that we make, or whatever it may be. A lot of people are suddenly, out of their control, thrust into a world where that in-person communication can't happen. And so across tons of industries, we're seeing people flock to the need to communicate in a manner just as successful as in-person, but without being able to be in person. And that's where 3D objects have really taken off like a rocket ship. So it's as strange as it sounds, COVID for the 3D world, not just on the web, but the 3D world in general, has been, COVID's had a very strong impact in the use case of 3D in the world. Ron and I'm talking. Would you agree with that?
I thought you were going to say something positive about this amazingly horrible virus, but okay. I'm with you.
Did I recover? Did I land the plane?
You said something positive about COVID. I don't know. You almost managed to do that. But
I got to be somewhat sensitive.
Before Microsoft, I used to work at Autodesk, and one of the reasons people were going for online 3D experiences, for example, for trying out any products or testing products was environmentally friendly option, because it's really hard to bring everybody in one place and do some of the tests in particular environments. So I'm so happy because of that reason too. It is happening more now on the web. So we have a few questions, and awesome. David is on the chat. David, I send you the invite to the team meeting too, so you can join us if you like. First question, although David answered it.
Wait, hold on. David, the creator of Babylon, asked a question and answered the question.
No, somebody else asked. Etienne, I'm just worried about butchering your name. That's why I'm not saying your name. But thank you for the questions. It's about the BabylonJS improving Playground to be something like Unity or Unreal Engine.
Yeah, I think this is an awesome thing to talk about. One of the common demographics of people who discover Babylon are people who come from the Unity and the Unreal world. And I'm going to categorize them into an amazing game engine IDE, right? Like an application that can do all kinds of things with tons of tooling around it. Fundamentally, that's not actually what BabylonJS is. BabylonJS is a technology platform that allows web developers, and hopefully, beyond just web developers, but developers be able to access the power of the GPU from the web. That's essentially what it is. And so it's not supposed to be, it's not designed to be the best IDE in the world. It's not supposed to be the thing with all of the bells and whistles and tooling like you might find in a Unity or Unreal. It is designed to be super powerful, which means that the package size for Babylon needs to be as small as it can possibly be, because we're sensitive to making sure that if you add 3D experiences, you're not having to bring along, hundreds of megabytes of extra data just to enable 3D objects. That being said, we know that even though it is a technology platform and will always be a technology platform, there are always ways to make the development process more simple. When you can write 14 lines of code and combine that into a tool, that's something that we are also interested in doing. So I want to be clear that BabylonJS will probably never be a Unity or Unreal type all-consuming package, but there are things that we are doing in the platform to add tooling to make it easier to develop and feel a little bit closer to that type of experience. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing I want to do is give a shout out to, again, because it's open source, we have the creator of Babylon here with us. It's a bumblebee. You may not have known that it's a bumblebee.
Hello.
Hello, David. How are you?
Hello.
Fine, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. I had to cancel a meeting, but I was like, oh my gosh, I can't miss that, right?
Yeah, you can't let Jason and Ronan talk about it without you being here. I appreciate that. I can't. So the one last thing I just wanted to mention on the front of kind of the all packaged editor is, Babylon is open source and there's an incredible community behind it. And one of the individuals in our community is super passionate about this exact thing. How do you create a tool that can sit on top of Babylon and leverage Babylon, but have be more Unity-like experience? And it's known as the Babylon Editor. And while it's not something that's maintained as a main piece of the Babylon platform, it is a amazing extension that that this member of the community maintains. And honestly, a lot of people absolutely love it, particularly people who are coming from the Unity world and are more familiar with that type of world. But David, we can see you. Hello.
Yes. Beautiful lighting. Maybe we should show some of the new editors as well, if somebody wants to share their screen and show that.
Yeah, we could do that. What do you think, David? Do you want to do a live demo, or you want to show a blog post?
Go ahead. I am answering question on the chat while we are talking.
There was very active on the chat
about the documentation for hand tracking. I guess it's not yet done, right?
No. I'll show the demo later, but there is not yet. I'm writing it, so it will arrive very soon.
But it is super exciting to have the hand controls for WebXR. It's
totally
and the demo works. Wait for the demo, guys. It's coming.
It
Guys
is
and
coming.
gals,
We'll show
everyone.
it. Yeah, so I guess it's appropriate to mention that a week ago today, we released a new version of Babylon, Babylon 4.2. Technically, on paper, the 0.2 means it was a minor release, and yet at the same time, this was our biggest release by a long shot. It, it was definitely a big one.
You're not good at numbers.
And you will notice that the tagline for this one was simplicity reimagined. And that was our way of kind of creating a theme around the idea of exactly what we were talking about, is looking for places in Babylon where the development process may be a little bit more cumbersome than it needed to be. And are there places where we could have added tooling to help? Reduce the amount of codes written, reduce the amount of human error introduced into the coding process, make it simple, make it fast, make it fun. Those are some of the things that we looked for in making Babylon more simple to use. And so there's a release video that we won't play here, but I encourage people to check out. That's definitely fun and shows off a ton of the new features. Yeah, go ahead, Icicle.
Come on, play it just a little bit. In the background while we are talking. That's it does look very good.
I don't know that you'll be able to hear. I don't think I shared my audio. So
yeah, that's true. But it is a very cool demo.
It's fun because it's a YouTube video shared across Teams, which is published on YouTube. I love it.
There you go. Yeah, there's multiple layers here. But yeah, definitely check this video out. Actually, I'll use that to segue into the first tool that we did is Babylon has a really rich particle system. It has for a while. That particle system we looked at, and there's tons of properties that you can change and morph with the particle system itself. Dial in the look of individual particles, stuff like that. But to do that was a line of code for each little small property you wanted to change. Well, we made a particle editor, and it's built inside of this right-hand menu here that you can see that we call the inspector. That's the scene inspector. You can open it up to kind of debug things and get a view of things that are in your scene. And you can now right-click to create a particle system. And then you can, as you can see being demonstrated here in this GIF, dial in a bunch of the properties to create the perfect particle system. And then what was, maybe 17, 18 lines of code, now you simply hit save to the Babylon snippets server, which is basically a server that we maintain that can store JSON objects. So you create a JSON object of this particle system, save it to the server, get a unique ID to that particular particle system, and now you can load it in your code with one single line of code. And so what was 18 lines of code is now a tool and one loading line of code. And then we did the same thing for the Sprite system as well in BabylonJS, the exact same strategy. Basically, what took a few lines of code can now all be done in the inspector, including right-click to create. Rigging is a complicated part of the 3D process, skinning and seeing where bones and joints are. And so we know that bouncing between 3D applications, say that somebody is using a Maya, Max, or Blender to create an animated character, and then bringing it into Babylon, sometimes the process of going between packages just isn't as seamless as you might want for various reasons. Well, the skeleton viewer here was a community contribution. Again, it's done by an amazing community member who basically added some debug tools to be able to visualize bones and joints as well as the skin weighting for rigging that you might have. This is bone assignments here, and then here's the skinning that we're looking at now. And so this basically just helps you kind of debug some rigging issues that you might encounter to see what's happening in the Babylon engine versus the creation tool you might have used. And it's similar for the texture inspector. This is a new tool that we added to be able to just quickly dive into a texture down to the pixel level. You can get RGB information, see individual RGBA channels. It has a live link to the scene. That's what you're seeing there, where you can kind of mark up your texture to kind of see where your texture might be mapped onto your 3D object, stuff like that. But again, when you're creating assets and you have textures, you not 100% map in the engine as you might want it to, or you might expect it to. And so this is a tool that helps you dive in and understand exactly what might be happening in your textures. And so kind of just going down the list here, I'll make these very quick. The number one most requested feature by a long shot is in Babylon 4.1, we introduced the node material editor, which is, if you've used Unity, it's going to be very similar to the shader graph. It's a node-based system that allows you to visually connect nodes together to essentially write a GLSL shader. And you can then, of course, save that shader out and then use it in your Babylon scene. That's what this is all about here. Well, in 4.1, we had the Babylon standard material supported, and with Babylon 4.2, we've officially introduced support for fully physically based rendering. That's a PBR workflow, all inside of the Node Material Editor, which is absolutely huge and the #1 most requested feature for 4.2 for sure. And then on the and then on the topic of the Node Material Editor itself, we also extended its capabilities not just to include a PBR workflow, but also to include new modes of being able to use this interface to generate different things. And there's 3 of them that we've added. Procedural texture, which is what you're seeing here. The post-process system, you can now create post-processes, which is an effect that happens on top of the entire Babylon scene. And so this is what you're seeing here is just a colorization of this pirate fort that goes blue and pink based on this post-process that we've created in the Node Material Editor. And then finally, particle shaders, which is super exciting. So this is now you can create your own shaders specifically for individual particles within a system. You know, things like, hey, when I get over a certain height in the world, I want your color to change or something to that effect. And so that's actually a really, really cool new ability with the Node Material Editor as well. And then just staying on the Node Material Editor, we have the custom frame system. Now, this is an amazing, amazing tool. I cannot believe we had a moment without this tool. It essentially lets you group nodes together and then store them as your own custom node groups. And you can drag them out kind of like you would a function, right? When you're writing code, you can drag those out, use them over and over and over again. Super, super handy. Yeah, I maybe will skip a few of these. There's a ton of stuff in the 4.2 release, playground templates, common code bits, support for HDR filtering right in the engine. I do have to do a shout out for Babylon React Native. If you're familiar with creating, with React Native, creating native applications using web code under the hood, this is taking Babylon Native and and React Native and combining them together. So now you can take BabylonJS code plus React code and build a native application with them together, which is really, really cool. So the holy grail here of development is really all about, like, how do you write your code once and let it be on every device, everywhere? And that's sort of what we're trying to tap into here with the Babylon Native effort.
Amazing. And it works for HoloLens too as well, right?
It does, yeah. Thank you for that call out. You're right. It fully supports HoloLens, the HoloLens 2 and HoloLens development. And so you can create HoloLens applications that are essentially BabylonJS scenes that you build that then are packaged into a native application for the HoloLens.
That makes development so much better.
Yeah, you know, I mean, nothing against the current tools that exist, but you know, the nice thing about Babylon is it can be, especially the iteration process, right? To go from, oh, I need to make a change, I need to try out a different color or UI in my scene and have to rebuild. The process of rebuilding can be very cumbersome and time consuming. With a technology more like this, what you can do is just change the JavaScript under the hood, but essentially the build itself isn't changing. It's just the JavaScript that's changing. And so the iteration can happen super quickly. And then I have to give a huge shout out to Ronan here, who, amongst the many things he does, completely overhauled our documentation to be, so much more useful. We've had really rich documentation in the past, but now it is consumable and welcoming to new users who maybe aren't familiar with Babylon, and you can get examples embedded right in the particular contents of what you're looking at. It's awesome. Ronan, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Full support for BasisU. That's, you know, ultimate super texture compression on the GPU. This graph actually shows a really interesting comparison against PNG. You know, we're looking at megabytes here, and if the original file size is 43 megabytes, then on the GPU it's 272 as a PNG. Well, when you go to Basis, KTX plus Basis, the file size itself can be 29, but then on the GPU is only 68 megabytes. So it's a huge savings for a massive texture here. So you can imagine, you know, the biggest problem in 3D assets and 3D asset world is the file size, because they get so big because your textures, to get good resolution of what you're seeing on the surface of 3D objects, can be really heavy. And so this is an amazing tool to reduce the overall size of 3D objects. And then I think now I will shut up and hand it over to the master who, again, brings us what we're here to talk about.
I can't wait to see this demo, but I'm just going to ask you one question about the remote rendering Azure service, if there's any plans to integrate it into Babylon or Babylon native. I'm just asking to put some pressure on you.
Yeah, we're not opposed. We're not opposed to anything if it's something that the community would be interested in. Again, it's an open source project, so if there's something that the community needs, we just ask that they speak up and we have a conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I'll say about the Azure remote rendering is, Babylon is designed to give you access to the GPU,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Azure remote rendering is something that is designed to have the rendering itself be done elsewhere.
Not completely, though.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You can have a hybrid model. That's very, very true. I think the question for us would be, is there a scenario where people would want to do both? If you're going to do, let's say you have a scene that requires intense rendering, and so you want to access Azure remote rendering. Is there any reason you would want both Azure and Babylon? And we don't necessarily know that we have a good answer for that yet. If somebody in the community does, please speak up. We'd love to chat about it. But in our minds, it kind of seems like if you need enough horsepower to use Azure remote rendering, then why not just use it for all of your rendering? You know? So it's an interesting conversation for sure. We don't have it on our roadmap per se, but it's something that we're definitely curious about and want to hear more if there are people out there in the world who want it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, hopefully somebody else would speak up too, but the way it works is that you have heavy, stable, and not changing assets that you render on maybe using remote rendering, and then the interactive parts you still render with Babylon. So that way you have a much richer experience with very complex models too. But yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's see the hand demo. Can't wait.
Yeah, well, let me dive in and share my Oculus. So the demo for 4.2, we updated the way we deal with WebXR. We had WebXR support already in 4.1, and 4.2 was mainly improvements and adding new feature and updating the feature to be more compatible with the changes in the API. The API keeps on changing. WebXR keeps on developing, which is amazing, and keeps on improving constantly, and we need to keep up. And in 4.2, this is what we practically did. And the one feature that we really wanted to add in 4.2 and eventually managed to add that was the hand tracking, which is the demo I'm going to show now. I will share the... Let's see if you guys can see that. Let me know just a sec. Right now you're seeing a black screen. I apologize for that. Okay.
I just wanted to say we really appreciate you dealing with the changes, because once everything is set in stone, people would use exactly the same way using BabylonJS, so they don't have to change their code base. So we
exactly. We try to make it as simple as possible for every user to use WebXR while still maintaining the newest version of the API. And I'll dive into the demo. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yes.
Those are the wonderful hand meshes, and this is so we have pointer support for the meshes as well. You can click, you can pick. And if you can see, I can point. I can use it. This is a pointer system, so technically anything you can do with a mouse, you can do with your hands as well. And
can you put your hands a little bit higher for us?
Yes.
Just a wee bit higher. There you go. Perfect.
I don't know what you see. Yes, so tell me if you don't see, because I can see my hands very well.
Beautiful. I love it.
And those are tracked in real time. 25 points are being tracked constantly. That's I'm currently using the Oculus Quest. It works on the Quest 2 as well. It works on HoloLens as well.
I see the buttons attached to your finger too.
That comes from the Oculus itself. So Oculus adds those buttons. If I'll tap those two fingers, I will quit the scene, and if I'll tap those two fingers, I will enter the Oculus menu. So that's instead of the two buttons on the controls themselves.
Awesome.
Cool.
And the one fun part about hands is adding physics interaction. So I have 3 spheres, and I hope I'm not going to crash into my table. Yeah, I do, but let me try doing that. So those spheres are physics enabled, and I also have all of the 25 parts of this hand also physics enabled. So I can actually interact with the spheres.
Yeah.
Can you look down a little bit because we are not seeing it on that?
Okay. Can you see now? Oh,
Yes.
Now I know what you guys see. Okay, so I see now. Now you guys see that, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I can lift those spheres, and I
that's
can
awesome.
play with them, and so I can also lift using 2 hands, and I can throw them. So anything you can do with any other physics object, you can do with those 25 points that are technically physics imposters. This is, of course, a very simple demo, but
Go get it. Go get it. Go get it.
Yeah,
Go get it right now. Go find it.
Not go get it. Yeah, wait.
Oh.
But I have 1 sphere left. And
So wait, did you say there's a physics? So there's 25 points of articulation, and we have a physics imposter for each joint. That's
exactly.
awesome.
So I can also do this, or I can use any finger to stop and to move and to use the, I don't know. You guys see that now, right?
Yes, we do. You just have to always look very down, like try to have the sphere at the center of your.
I'm looking at the floor right now, but I'm glad you guys are seeing this. So there are 25 points. One is the wrist as well. So technically, you can also use your wrist to stop the ball.
Cool.
I have to say that the hands, which were done by Patrick Ryan in our team, they are beautiful. I love the Fresnel effect and stuff. It's very smart.
Yeah, it looks
That's
awesome.
So do you have that for other people to use, the hand model?
I'm going to release. Yeah, that's it. Bye, Sphere. Let me quit the scene. This is a playground. It's working on the Babylon playground. I'll stop sharing in a second. This is it's a public playground which I can already release. There was a small issue with the physics imposters that were too big on the first frame. So if you used it yesterday before I fixed the bug was already committed and fixed. And this is why I didn't share this playground yet. The spheres would just go away if you didn't raise your hand. It was kind of like not the best experience. So I will share it. I can actually share the link right now, and you guys can experiment with using it's in this case the Oculus Quest or the Quest 2. Just enter the scene and you will see your hands automatically detected, and you will be able to play with the spheres.
That's awesome. David, you have the access to put it on the YouTube channel, if you don't mind pasting it.
Oh, sure. I don't have it, but if you have...
I'm there as well, so I'll just...
Oh, you are? I have to make you... oh, I see you. Okay, I have to make you moderator. That's why. Okay, now you can.
And second.
Okay, so just a second. Now I need to find it because I'm working in the Quest and...
Yeah. And one question is grab working?
Is grab working, like grabbing objects?
If
you notice, I tried grabbing. Just think about you will need to be able to grab it. It is working. You will just not a sphere. So you will be able to grab maybe a saber, for example. You will be able to grab that. But since we are using physics imposters and a physics engine, if you grab too strong, since you don't have the object in your hand, if you grab too strong, the physics engine will try to throw it out of you because it detects constant collisions. So you will need to. It's a very careful thing to do. What I would suggest if you want to grab something is once it's close to one of those meshes, just stick it to this and parent it to one of those, maybe to the wrist or maybe to the finger, and then the object will move with the hand. And then once the hand is open, which you can detect by proximity of the fingers to the wrist or to the other fingers, then release it. So I would actually cancel the physics engine once it's grabbed, and I will reinstate it once it's released. Because the physics engine will not deal with those constant changes in collision in proximity collisions. So I'm grabbing something, but I don't have it in my hand, and it's really hard to keep the hand open correctly. So that's a limitation that any physics engine has. So it's just a matter of implementing that correctly, to stick it and to have it a part of your hand, and instead of part of the physics scene.
Mm-hmm. That's great. David, looks like you were keeping up with the questions on the live chat.
Sure.
Sorry, I missed some of them.
Code.
He's quite good at that.
I guess there is one which is not really BabylonJS related, unless I did not get it. It's would a project from Unity Engine 4 be compatible with WebXR? I guess the answer is obviously yes, but it's all in the Unreal Engine teams, right? That's not something that we can help with.
Yeah. By the way, we call David the question ninja, because he's very sneaky at answering questions. You know, like on our forum, we'll all be trying to answer a question, and he'll answer 7 in the time that we're trying to figure out to answer 1. So we call him the question ninja.
Yeah, I answered them here too, just for the people who doesn't want to read the chat and want to hear the questions. One of the questions was related that I saw, and Etienne or somebody mentioned that there's a Unity integration tool with BabylonJS, and if there's a plan to do it for Unreal Engine.
Yeah, so we have Unity, but it's done not by us, but by someone from the community. His name is Maki. He is doing a fantastic job with that. And actually, he got a contract from Verizon. Verizon created a escape game on that works on 2D and also on XR mode. And he did that entirely with his own framework, which is built on top of Unity. So not Unreal this time, Unity. And inside Unity, you can do whatever you want. And then he has a tool to export all of that into BabylonJS. So yes, we have it for Unity. We didn't do it, so we have no credits on that. We are just providing the engine. I don't think we have someone in the community yet who did a Unreal Engine integration. I don't think so. Yes.
Cool. Renan, looks like you did find the code. Would you mind sharing
I
it?
shared the code. I wanted maybe to show a bit of the code, just to see how simple, the simplicity is key. And I just need to find the, yes. So this is the playground, and this is the code for the physics integration, and this is technically the code to enable XR with the enter button and with everything else involving the canvas resizing and starting the session and everything involving XR itself and enabling the hands. So here I'm enabling the hands with physics. You don't have to. You can set it to false, and then you just have hand tracking, including pointer support. The pointer support is included in the initial XR initialization right here.
If you look at the number of lines, you have everything for around 63 lines of code, right? Including the spaces and stuff.
Including physics, including the initial non-XR camera, including the lighting, including everything. And this is exactly what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to get an experience that is as simple as possible to use, but still very powerful. So we expose everything. The XR native elements are also exposed if you know what you're doing and you want to dive in. The session is there, and everything. The events, the native events, are also there. But we are masking them in like a very simple to use Babylon code to simplify the process. This is it's a commented out code because I just didn't want it right now. But this code enables you to grab a sphere using the pointer system and lift it up using select events. So using the pinch, you can lift the spheres also from far away. And this is using the pointer system, and the hands are integrated as if they were pointers, if they were mouse or any other pointing device. And if I
where is it pointing from exactly? Is it one of the fingers or?
The definition comes from Oculus itself. So the host itself gives us the direction of the ray, the direction of the select ray, and it's the same ray that is being used in the Oculus system itself.
Mm-hmm.
So we just take it from Oculus and we convert it to our pointer system.
Awesome.
And this is the code for the hand tracking. The playground was shared on the YouTube channel. The bugs were fixed already, so this playground should work without you needing to lift your hands up.
It is amazing. Thank you so much. I can't wait to play with it.
Please do tell me how the experience is. It's amazing I love playing with this. There are limitations to the technology itself. You can't make your get your hands too close to one another. They stop tracking, for example. If the hands are outside of the viewing pane of the device itself, they also stop tracking. So these are limitations that we cannot solve. We can't estimate the hand positions, but once you get used to those limitations, it's amazingly fun to just see your hands in a virtual world and be able to also interact with this world. It's an amazing experience.
Yes.
Awesome.
David, did you send Ronan a HoloLens 2 as a gift after releasing 4.2?
You don't have one, right? Oh, you have it. You have it.
I need to send it back.
No, you have to say the truth. You have to say the truth. I send you a gift, a device that is opening and closing like that. You should share it.
Is that Samsung?
No.
Ooh.
That's it's the Surface Duo, and it's I think you didn't like it so much.
No, that's right.
I find it very interesting. It's a very interesting experience to use it. It doesn't support AR, by the way, which why? But
it was a bad gift. Okay, I get that.
No, I didn't say. No, it was a bad XR gift. It was an amazing. Look, it's here. It's always here. I'm using it for news and development. And how did we get to the Surface Duo?
Gift of HoloLens 2.
Yeah,
that
HoloLens.
was my question.
I have to send my HoloLens back in a week. I didn't have time to experiment with that too much. I'm about to check the hand tracking in the HoloLens to finalize the way we deal with hands in the HoloLens, because it's supposed to be a bit different, because you don't want to see the mesh. In HoloLens, you actually see your hands. So you do want the interaction, but you don't want to see the mesh.
Not always, though, right?
Well,
I mean, you want the option.
Yeah, you want the option, exactly. And the option exists. I just want to make sure that the option is it's very simple to do. So it's very simple to remove that or end that. And to make sure that we are using the pointers correctly. So the ray is corrected. The ray that we're getting from HoloLens is the right thing, and that we're using the right pointers.
Yeah. I'm happy to test anytime. And Etienne is asking if we have an extra HoloLens 2. As you can see inside Microsoft 2, it's a hard commodity. That's why I'm putting pressure on David slightly to get one for the person who's implementing it.
I sadly have to let my HoloLens go, but I would be happy to get it back in 2 weeks. So
that is awesome. There is one question about OpenXR versus WebXR, how they are related and different. I can answer that if anybody else wants to answer. Feel free.
If you want, go right ahead, please.
Yeah, go for it.
OpenXR is a set of specs, like how things should be implemented, so you can use different languages with it. WebXR is the same spec, well, similar spec, worked on by W3C, which is the organization that decides on the specs for any web API. And that's the difference. So WebXR only applies to web, basically. OpenXR can apply to any of the devices.
And eventually, under the hood, WebXR does use OpenXR to deliver the information. So technically, WebXR is just as as OpenGL to WebGL, it's OpenXR to WebXR. It's a layer that works on the web that actually provides the information over OpenXR would provide to native applications, which is a great thing. It's nice to have those kind of things on the web, and it's nice that we have a standard, and it's nice that the standard is being developed, and it's always great to see the work.
Yeah, we are so excited to see that Babylon implements them very quickly, and it's really nice to be able to play with those. And we'll add, more of the samples, the hand samples that we've been waiting for.
So now there is a hand sample. There is also the augmented reality samples. Yeah,
I love the AR. I am a big fan of the AR. Love it.
The rabbit demo. So we are trying to add as many AR features as possible. Light estimation would probably be the next one I'm going to implement. There is the overlay, which will be implemented a bit later. It's not yet stable as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the light estimation seems to work quite good, so it would be wonderful to have. And if anyone from Apple is hearing us, please integrate that. Please, just it's an open standard that exists for years already. Just implement.
They still don't have WebGL 2, so it's not. It's close.
Coming though.
It's coming. It's coming.
I think it is coming. Yes. So.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I missed the AR one. I have. Check it out. So the AR features that you talked about, let's explain this a little bit. Lighting estimation allows you to put stuff in the real world with the same lighting information closer to your environment, so it looks so much more real. And you mentioned overlay, layer overlay?
The layer overlay is not yet implemented. We will implement that once it's stable, but eventually it allows you to add more layers on top of the canvas eventually. So you can add more information on top of the AR of the camera layer, which is needed in many AR applications. So you can create a website and have this website kind of presented. And again, for me, it's just the theory because I haven't tested that yet.
Yes. And it's HTML, so which is the good part. It can be more accessible, and you can add any of the information with the HTML. You don't have to worry about canvas.
Exactly.
And we have hit test, right?
Yeah, we have hit test, and we have plane detection, and we have anchor support, local anchor support, not Azure anchors. This is usually the question that comes right after I'm saying anchors. But hit test is a kind of like a ray picking for the real world. So if I'm pointing at the floor, the device will know how far I am from the floor and will allow me to, in many cases, place an object on the right plane, on the floor. So if you're heat testing your wall or your floor, you can place an object right on it, and if you are scanning the plane you put it on, you're going to see that the object is right on top of it. And plane detection allows you to actually scan the environment and provides the plane structure of the room you're currently scanning, of the environment that you're currently scanning. Very helpful if you want to put shadows, for example, for the object that you want to put, or very helpful for physics. I had a private demo that I was actually, that's the next Babylon demo I'm going to release, which is kind of like a game with virtual balls in the real environment. So once the environment is plane detected, then you can throw virtual balls and see how they bounce from the real walls. So this
on the chat for people.
Oh, perfect. So those features are already documented. The one feature that is not yet documented is the hand tracking. And the code documentation is full, so you can actually read the documentation in the code itself and see how to use it. But there are certain things that needs better documentation, and this is coming very soon.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And plane detection also helps us not to put things onto a surface, right? Like it doesn't flow around you, so it's a little bit more realistic. I feel like David wants to show the rabbit demo. Is there any way we could show that?
I can share the screencast. I think the screencast is on the blog, right? Do we have
I have a GIF of it. Yeah. Do you want me to show that?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Yes,
there is a
like
question in the meantime from Etienne about hand teleport gesture.
Mm-hmm.
So any word on that?
If the question is how to teleport using your hands, then we do support that. There is already a way to teleport using pointer events. So teleportation either works with a thumbstick, you point forward and then you can actually decide of the rotation. And if you don't have a thumbstick, it falls back to the main button. So if you have only a controller with one single button, you will be able to point at the floor, press 3 seconds. 3 seconds is the default, but of course you can define a different time. And after 3 seconds, you will see the teleportation ring and you will teleport there once you release your hand. So, and the same thing can happen with your hand. So since it's simple pointer events, you can decide that you want to teleport to a specific point on the floor, point at it, hold your fingers again for 3 fingers or so. After enabling it, because this needs to be enabled because it's not the default behavior that we want, and then you will teleport to this specific location. And this is how you can teleport using your hands alone.
Good.
And we are seeing the rabbit
That's
demo.
the rabbit demo. So this demo is using plane detection mainly to place the rabbit at the right place and on the real world. So you can see that once we would see that in a second. You can see that the rabbit is placed on top of the spinal in that case, and on top of this cabinet. And it knows exactly at what height in world coordinates it needs to be placed. Since there is a plane there, it's just virtual, I'm not showing it, but technically you could show the entire scanned room and see how the device, in that case a cell phone, sees the real world. And interaction with the scene, with clicks, with touch, is enabled just the same as the pointer system that the motion controllers have or the hands have. You have the same system in AR. So you can click and you have a pointer and you actually can send a ray from your device, from the screen to the real world if that's what's that's what's needed in your current project.
Oh, that is really cool. David, I have a question for you. How did you decide to build BabylonJS, and did you imagine it being this big and having like hand controls for it?
You know what? When I was creating engines since I was very, very young, I created my first 3D engine. It was on Amiga, Commodore Amiga, a very old computer. It was just wireframe rendering, and it was a 8 megahertz CPU, so we were not very lucky with the power of the computer. But I was doing that since forever, right? When I joined Microsoft in 2011, Microsoft just shipped IE10 with WebGL support. It was a very, very beginning support of WebGL. So I said, you know what? I'm going to create another engine for the web this time. Before joining Microsoft, I founded a company which was selling an engine I was creating for architects and archaeologists. So I was always doing 3D engines. I mean, it was my pet project since forever. My way of doing gardening, I'm not doing gardening, but I am creating 3D engines. But you're right. When I was doing that on my spare time just to evangelize IE10 and IE11, I was not thinking a single time that we will have today a team of 11 engineers all working on the same topic, with Microsoft using it all over the place, like in Teams, in PowerPoint. No way. It's my American dream, right? I wrote a blog about that. I should try to find to find it. But one morning, I woke up and was like, "Fuck! There are 11 people working on something I created, like just for fun, right? How is that even possible? What happened?" Before creating the BabylonJS team in Microsoft, I was doing that for free. It was already open source and stuff, right? And one morning, and I was already working with Ranan. He was also in his own company. We were just playing with BabylonJS without. It was not our day-to-day job. And one day, Microsoft came to me and told me, "You know what? We're gonna pay you to work on BabylonJS." And so I told them, "You want to pay me for something I'm doing for free, right? That's exactly what you guys want, just to be sure." And I said, "Yes, we want that." The reasoning behind that is that BabylonJS was used by several products, and they wanted to set up a team to support it, so which makes sense, right? And so here we are.
There's not just American dream, that's also a developer dream, something that you're doing on the side.
Yes.
Somebody wants to pay for it.
I'll tell you that the other David, he was talking and he had a talk of 2015, and he said, "Yeah, I'm working on BabylonJS, and that's my dream job. And if you want my job, you're gonna have to kill me." That's how he started his talk once. And I said, "That's a good way to." Yes. Well, I didn't, so I'm still
job
working on the engine, so it's okay.
Well, I found my blog, but unfortunately it's in French. I will still write, copy paste it for people reading French, but it was my moment when I realized, oh gosh.
This happened.
It was happening.
Yeah, that is amazing. I actually used Babylon in PowerPoint, and I went just crazy. I couldn't stop myself because now you can put 3D animated characters in your slides.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is quite unbelievable. Is there any plans to integrate it with the Power Apps? Just curious, because if for the people who doesn't know, Power Apps is a tool that allows you to do like drag and drop some AR applications as well as any kind of other applications, and then it directly connects to Azure databases and everything else. So,
yeah, David, do you want to take that one?
No, I will leave it to you because I have to leave in 5 minutes. But yes,
okay. Thank you for joining us, David.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and thank you for Babylon too.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thanks for Babylon.
Thank you very much.
Short answer, Icicle, to your question is yes. There is absolutely an interest. There's this amazing effort to be able to allow. I believe the term is citizen developers, maybe people who don't have a traditional background in proper software development, but still have a desire to create an application. This Power Apps platform has the ability to allow people to do that. Basically, software development without too much software development is the way I'd put it. And they are absolutely very, very interested in allowing AR and XR type experiences to be one of the things that citizen developers can leverage. And we're very, very fortunate to be working closely with that team, both from a web perspective, but also predominantly from a Babylon native perspective, to use web code under the hood to enable XR features to do both. And so they've actually started that effort and have posted some information about that. In fact, actually in our blog post, which I will get to you, the blog post for the release, it actually shows a video of that team talking about the Babylon React Native project that they made together for this specific purpose.
Yeah, I saw that. I think it would be great to enable more people to create cool products.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to be cutting it short here in a minute as well myself. But this has been an awesome experience to talk a little bit about this and to chat a little bit about Babylon and the release and the amazing work that Ronan's done to bring WebXR to the masses through Babylon.
This has been awesome to have you. There's one last question if you would answer, and you're free to go. It's been an amazing hour. Thank you so much, and we'll do this again.
Yeah, we should definitely do it again.
The question was only for React for now. Do you mean do we want Angular or anything else, or any other native library?
Yeah, there's no reason that people can't use their own, library, UI library, or whatever it may be, alongside Babylon. I think React has become such an amazingly popular and easy to use platform that there was very instantly recognizable benefit to combining those two together. That's not to say we wouldn't have future support for, another platform. And I guess I'd put it this way: there's no limit. There's no reason that couldn't be added in the future. There's not an immediate plan per se to add next idea out there, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to. It just means that we don't have a specific plan for it. So again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. If there's ever anything that anyone wants from Babylon, just go to forum.babylonjs.com, and that is the place to have the conversation about what is in Babylon, what do you need from Babylon, what can we develop, how can we make it better. Open source community, we want it to be better, but that's your place to go to ask for stuff like that.
Yeah, ask and you shall receive. So I'm asking you guys to join me here more often. Maybe we can have like some live coding sessions too. If
I would love to do that.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
That's great.
That'd be fun.
Yes.
Be very.
Now we have people who seen you say yes to it, so there's no way you can run away from it.
It's recorded.
Official.
That's it.
Yes,
it's official. Part of the permanent record of history.
Yes.
You can always deny that.
Thank you everyone for joining and for the questions. And Ronan, it's so late for you in Berlin. Thank you for joining us from Berlin.
Thanks for hosting, Icicle. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very
See you
much.
next time. Bye everyone.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well,